Hi, good day. My name is David. I'm a data analyst, and today I'm going to be doing a continuation on the video I made the last time talking about how to solve a use case in terms of building reports with SSRS. I had a fictional case where a fictional character called Sarah sent me an email from customer experience asking for some data to be spooled on regular basis so she can use it for email campaign. I've sent her the requirement and Sarah has gotten back to me saying that she needs an improvement on the report and shares some concerns on some fields and parameters she sees in the report. This is the email. Sarah is saying that as regards the last report you built for us, we are having some difficulties getting valid dates to run the report. We also need additional improvement on the report. Please see below. The first case that Sarah has is, can you make the date static from beginning to end? And the second is, can we have a filter drop down to be able to filter by country? The third is, clients with graduate degree should be colored in green, while those with bachelor's should be colored in yellow, partial college should be in gray, while others can be transparent. And Sarah finally says she needs the sorting by first name and yearly income. I'm going to be walking back to the report to show you what we did the last time and what possible improvements we can do for Sarah and what's possible. I'm going to be going to the report now. This is the last report we built for Sarah, and we have the first name, last name, marital status, gender, email, yearly income, product, country, qualification, and date of first purchase. I'm able to filter here by name. This is interactive sorting that I've done to be able to sort rather. And I can sort also by last name. I'm able to sort finally by the yearly income. Okay, I'm going to be going back to the report. For the first case, what Sarah is saying that it's a Herculean task to be able to remember what the first date is and to be able to get what the last date is. She needs this to be static. Let the first date be here by default and the last date be here by default, so that once I render my report, I'm able to see these dates and I can choose whichever range I want to store. I'm going to be going back to this place, and to make that possible, I would need to know what my first date is. Luckily for me, I've run a select query on SQL that is going to give me the first and last date. I did a select statement on the dim customer table to get the first day of purchase and the last day of purchase. I'm going to be coming to the first date. I control right click and choose my copy. I go back to my query. I can either double click on this or right click and use properties, or I can double click on this, whichever one works. What Sarah is asking for is a default value. Now I will need to be specific because I know what my first date is. And I'm going to say Ctrl V, paste it, and I use OK. I go back to my query. I can right click on this and copy. I go back. On the end date, I double click, default, specific value, I add, and I Ctrl V. I'm okay. So in many ways, I've been able to solve Sarah's first problem. The second problem of Sarah is saying, can we have a filter drop down to be able to filter by country? I would go back. Now, there are steps to this. If you're new to SSRS, you might be tempted to just build your parameter and come here to say, I want to add it to my sort list. But that really wouldn't work. It won't give us what we want with the dropdown. Because in SSRS, you don't just have a parameter. You need a data that is going to fill the parameter. And you use that field to filter the country field. In order not to sound so complicated, I'm just going to be solving that problem here. I'll go to my script. Luckily again for me, I have a place where I've written out the script. for my country. I need distinct country, so I'm able to use each of this country to sort my client table. I'm going to be copying this. I Control C, I go back. I'm going to be adding it as a new data set. Let me call this country. I have a data source already called client details. I'm going to be pasting that query here, and I click on OK. I've created an additional query called country. The next, I'm going to be right-clicking here and will create a parameter. Two ways of doing this. I can either modify this query and add the parameter to this, or I can create a parameter and add it here on SSRS without tampering with the query. Because in my first video, I did this already, where I did the begin and end date. So I'm going to be doing the second method, where I'm going to be doing it here on the table. Let me create my parameter first. I call this country. The prompt should be country, and I'll add a semicolon. The data type is right because it's text, but here, this is the game changer. I'm going to be coming to the available values. What value should you choose from? Because I want it to be a drop-down. Let me choose from a query because I have it existing. It's going to be country. The field is country and country. I click on OK. By this, I've added an additional parameter that I can use to filter. I can do a couple of things so as not to make this to be so long. I can bring this and drag it and drop here, so I have begin and end date. Then my country can be in this space. Then I'll come to here, I right click, I'll say filter. I want to filter this column called country, but I'm going to be using my parameter, country. This works because I already have a query that fills the parameter, so I'm able to perform this task. I click on OK. I can do a quick preview on this. And so as my query not to run for so long, I'm going to be using something very close to my begin date. Let me do 2010. This is December. I'm going to be doing December 31st. And I'll say I want data for Canada. And I'll view my report. And this will not waste, shouldn't take so much because I'm doing dates that are about 2 days apart, and it's going to return my query. So, but while we wait for this, let me go back to the requirement by Sarah. The third is Sarah is saying she wants clients with graduate degrees should be colored in green, clients with bachelor's should be colored in yellow, and clients should be colored in gray who are partial college. Let me go back to my query. So this works fine. I've been able to filter by Canada, and I have just 2 rows of data. Let me go back to my design mode. The third thing Sarah is asking for is she wants the first name and the last name to have a specific color based on their qualification. So I'm going to be going to my field here, open. I'm going to use an expression. I don't want them to be transparent. There are 2 ways of doing this. I come to common functions, I go to program flow. I could use the if expression, but you can see here that the if only works with 2 arguments. I can only say that if this, else something else. But what Sarah is asking for requires about 4 arguments. The first argument is when it's graduate degrees. Second argument is when it's bachelor's. The third argument is when it's partial college. And the fourth argument is when it's neither of the 3. So because I'm requiring 4 arguments, I can use an if function. I'm going to be using the second called switch. And this is the way the switch function works. In switch, I'm going to be saying, pick a field. This is the field. Qualification. When the qualification is equal to the first is graduate degree, because I want the exact name so as not to make some mistakes, I'm going to be going back to my query when I've run a distinct select on each of these. So college degree, graduate degree rather, I Ctrl C, I come back to this place. I use a double quotation, I paste. When is this, comma, what should you return? I go to constant, I want to return is light green as the background. It's called line. Now, this is what switch function does. With switch function, you close the first argument and start the second argument. The second argument is saying when, let's go back to the field, qualification is equal to bachelor's. I go back to my query, I pick my bachelor's so as to get the right spelling. Double quotation, bachelor's, then she wants it to be yellow. I pick this. All right, so I close this argument. The next argument is when this qualification is equal to partial college. Equal to partial college. We need this to be gray. Then I want it to return gray. I use a very light gray so as not to affect so much. So the fourth argument, I close the third. The fourth argument is going to say, so when it is true. True means when it is none of these 3. Then I want it to be transparent. I can now close my switch function. When I click on OK and run this, I should be able to see this work so well. And I'm going to be using something quite close just to preview. Let me say 2011, January 31st, and let me try for France. Click on OK. While this runs, let's look at the last requirement by Sarah. Sarah is saying that I need a default sorting on the list by first name, then yearly income. This means that when the report is run by default, it should be alphabetically by the first name. Then it should be by yearly income. Let's go back to this. You see, this works so well. This is gray because this client is in partial college. This has bachelor's, and it goes this way. It works so well. So let's go back and see what Sarah is asking for the last part. One way I can do this is to click on this. I right click at any part here. I use Tablix properties. I want to sort first by the first name, A to Z alphabetically, then by yearly income. By yearly income. And I click on Okay. Let's preview this and see if we are able to answer Jane's requirement. 2011, January 31st. And I use same as France just to give me a quick return on my query. And let's see if there are further requirements from Sarah. So with this, it shows that we've been able to answer all of these questions for Sarah. And technically, we should be good. And we're going to be submitting it to her. If Sarah has more requirements for us, she's going to get back to us. Otherwise, this looks good from our end. And I would go back to my data and see that everything has been arranged alphabetically. So first by this and by yearly income. You can see that the higher income goes first, while the lower income takes. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you find it very, very useful. Stay tuned for the next. Thank you.